You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
Hello, folks. Welcome to a brand new episode, bonus episode of the COUCH BROTATOS. I'm here with Cristy Phillips. We're sorry we haven't gotten back to you soon enough, but like I said, this is just a bonus episode for you, released whenever. But yeah, so we're going to continue on from where we left off, where we spoke briefly about movies based on true stories and our favorites.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because... unlike the rest of the Something Good Fun Network, we're the only two that read. It's mostly smut, but we read.
Hey.
I'll read smut too. I don't give a shit. I'm doing a whole idea in the back of my mind, a book report. This History We Forgot backup episodes. B-sides. Side stories. But yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it off with, what's our first one?
Schindler's List.
Oh, Schwitz.
Hey.
Damn. I love a good Holocaust movie, and frankly, they're fun.
Oh.
It's so many puns.
Oh, I'm going to have to hit you already.
Break out the chocolate. Folks, if you want to hear more about that, listen to History We Forgot of me.
Shameless pun.
Shameless plug, where we just throw shit at me.
Yep.
But yeah, Schindler's List is one of those movies that just punch you in the fucking stomach immediately.
Yes, it does.
We watched it partially in school.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some other people tell me they watched the whole thing in school. And I'm just like, damn, that's the good old days of teaching. That's the golden era where the teacher can be half drunk and just show you the crucible. Because we watched that whole movie in sophomore English. Fuck me, that was rough.
My teacher in freshman English, 9th grade, we watched it. And what she did is she taped it off TV. Mm-hmm. And the only thing she cut out was when you see all of Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, where he's right before he takes the shot with a sniper rifle, I think, isn't it?
Yep. She, we saw everything, except the male frontal and the female frontal. Yeah, but we saw all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a rough movie. Like it's based on the true story of Oskar Schindler.
Yes.
From what I understand, still the only Gentile buried in Israel.
One of them, yes.
Yeah, I think he's the only one.
I could be wrong, but I think you're right.
Yeah. And it's a very sketchy, like, he did save a lot of lives. He did. But he was also a war profiteer.
Yes.
On top of everything.
He was also a Nazi.
Yeah, well, you can't be a war profiteer and not be a fucking Nazi.
Yes.
In Germany.
Yes.
It would just not fit the aesthetic. Mm-hmm. But no, he saved a lot of lives with a list. Mm-hmm. These group of people. And like the casting of the movie is damn near perfect.
Yes, I agree.
Liam Neeson as Oskar Schindler. And this is golden age Liam Neeson. Back when he was still doing like Rob Roy, fucking Helen Mirren. Before he did the Taken franchise.
Yes.
He was in Next of Kin. You remember that one?
I do.
Fucking awesome movie.
It was.
Patrick Swayze, Ben Stiller's the bad guy. But no, that's prime Liam Neeson. And then you had Ben Kingsley, Ray Fiennes as Eamon Goth, the nice teacher from Matilda. She don't have a name. That's her name. Nice teacher from Matilda.
Yes, Miss Honey.
Miss Honey. But yeah, just a star-studded cast. A lot of people, like I watched the behind the scenes of the movie not long ago, and it was talking about how everyone was trying to stay upbeat while watching the movie. Like how to, like I said. And around the time the movie was being filmed, Robin Williams was doing Aladdin at the time. And he would call the people on set and make them laugh, like give them a reprieve, because he knew, because Steven Spielberg had told him, hey, I'm part of this movie coming up about the Holocaust, and everybody's kind of, it's going to be like the biggest one. Like, this is like the premier Holocaust movie at the time.
Yes.
And no, he would just call randomly talk to the actors and like just build them up a little bit. Just, you know, that palate cleanser they needed. Like, hey, it's okay, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, you know, rapid fire shit from Robin Williams. But yeah, that's how serious this movie was.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, this is the true story to a degree for the time. And it's told perfectly. I think one of the best things is the way it's shot. It's all black and white.
Yes.
It's very simple. And the only time it's in color is 3 scenes. But the one that everyone focuses on is the little girl in red. She is just kind of like wandering the chaos when the ghettos are being filled. And then they're being evacuated, quote unquote. And then you kind of see the preamble of the Einsatzgruppen, the special soldiers.
Yes.
Who were tasked for killing people by gunshot. And you see that one German officer who is losing his fucking mind. He's literally cracked. He's screaming, laughing, crying, all the emotions just flowing through him because he finally doesn't understand what he's doing. And that was a big scare for that specific group of soldiers because they were there to fight an army and not do that one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said you had watched it in school. What grade was that?
9th or 10th.
Fuck, they wouldn't have got away with that shit at West Iowa. But
Oh no, they wouldn't get away with it now where I'm at.
Can you watch movies in school anymore?
Yes. We are actually getting ready to cover the Holocaust when we get back from Thanksgiving break where we are now. Again, not sure when this is going to come out, but when we get back from Thanksgiving break, which is where we are actually going to cover the Holocaust. And we are going to watch Oprah's special where she and Elie Wiesel actually go to Auschwitz.
Okay.
And I'm going to have
watch that in
to
health class.
I'm going to have to send letters home and get signed permission slips because it's going to show scenes from actual footage from Auschwitz. Yeah. So I'm going to have to get letters. Yeah. And that's going to be a small drop in the bucket compared to the stuff that you see in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the movie is very graphic.
Yes.
I do recommend people watch the movie. It is a fantastic film. It's in the Criterion collection. It's in the Oscar collection. It's in like so many collections of just films that need to be like I think it's in the top 20 films to watch.
Yes.
Before you die, and it's also part of the other list too. But the Criterion collection in the Oscar series has had it there forever.
Yes. They've also done. Spielberg has actually done a lot of stuff with the Holocaust Museum too, ever since the movies come out and everything. Which he still does a lot, as far as making other movies and working with other people and things like that. Because when Ken Burns just did his Americans in the Holocaust series, which please go watch it.
It's so hard to watch a Ken Burns documentary.
I know.
Because he always gets a narrator that is just too good. And it's like an ASMR video. He's got Peter Coyote to do Into the West.
Yeah.
Ken Burns the West. And he's like, the Nez Perce Indians. And it's just like, shut the fuck up. I'm fucking falling asleep.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ben Kingsley actually does the narration for the Americans in the Holocaust.
He played Gandhi.
Yeah.
And a Nazi.
Yes.
We tell about that one next.
Yes.
Soon.
It's down the list. But he still does a lot for research and families, and he still works with the museum in D.C.
Yeah. The movie ends with the real survivors putting flowers and whatnot on the grave of Oscar Schindler. In Israel.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of like A League of Their Own when you kind of see who they actually are, which is like, if you're going to do a movie about the real people, show what they really look like at the end.
Yes.
Comparative to their actors and, kind of give a feel. I think when you're doing a movie about true stories, it brings it down to a point where it's more real, especially if you're going to do, an epilogue at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so great, always a recommendation for that one. Another one is a movie I kind of don't like, is American Gangster.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington is fantastic in the movie.
He is. I cannot. There's not enough hours and not enough tape for me to talk about what an amazing actor Denzel Washington is.
He does this so well. Yes. An old-fashioned gangster.
Yes.
Frank Lucas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Frank Lucas.
Russell Crowe as the
cop that catches him.
But not just the cop that catches the man, the unfallible cop that catches him. Can't be bought. Can't be killed. that one guy. But Josh Brolin as the other cop that you can buy.
Yeah, the absolutely corrupt cop.
Yes, he's like the cop from the '89 Batman. He's just a piece of shit.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, he's that guy. And this is just one of those wild stories of the war on drugs that goes all the way to New York, all the way to North Carolina, all the way to Vietnam.
Yes.
And like those 3 points of the world about him sneaking heroin back to the United States through dead bodies of Vietnam soldiers and then smuggling it to New York and causing probably one of the worst heroin epidemics in all of the United States at the time. Fucking wild story. He kept his family in it the whole time. You did see, him. He had set rules in place. And this is kind of what I had a problem with the movie is it's like it kind of over exaggerates Frank Lucas into this larger than life character when in fact he wasn't. Yes, he did shoot someone in the middle of the fucking street and got away with it. But it wasn't because he's Frank Lucas. It's because just no one gave a shit about the dead guy. Yeah. The cops literally just didn't give a shit. They're just like, who's the next guy paying us? Yeah. So, and this is like the age of like Rampart divisions. Yes. The skull and crossbone tattoos on police forearms with the fucking handlebar mustaches, aviators with a dirty gun in their sock. Those guys.
One of the things that I liked about it the most, other than I'm going to steal your favorite line, killer soundtrack.
Oh, God, fantastic.
One of the things I liked about it the most is you get to see his rise. You get to see how he becomes, as much as I hate to say it, an absolutely amazing businessman.
And what's funny is, so do you remember the movie Harlem Nights?
Of course I do.
With Richard Pryor? So the character Richard Pryor plays is the same man that teaches Denzel Washington's character in that movie. So this technically, it's a sequel to Harlem Nights because it is the true story of Frank Lucas, but it's also the story of the guy who created Frank Lucas. Yeah. Barnes, I think his name was. I can't remember his name, but it's the guy Richard Pryor played in Harlem Nights. But yeah, it's the rise and fall of Frank Lucas, and it's just like any other story of a drug dealer, or not even a drug dealer, a drug kingpin going up and down. A lot of times it ends in bullets, but for him it ended in prison, and he played it smart. He lived. That's the name of the game, is to live. George Young from Blow, he lived. He died recently, but he lived. Yeah. Whitey Bulger fucking lived. He died in prison, but he fucking lived. Yeah. He made it. So that's one of those things where it's just like, of all the ones about true crime guys, it's like my least favorite. I think it's because it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value for me.
It does for me. I bought it on DVD. Yeah. But I bought it for like a handful of really good scenes. Yeah. Because there's a few that are my favorite. And my first favorite is when you first see him and the first one I really like is the first time he's in the club and he meets that girl that's going to be his wife. Yeah. Because that's just Denzel being Denzel, and that's just cool. But the other ones are when he's with the cops. And the first one is when they tell him I think it's Zuko or whatever his name is, the bad cop. Yeah. He tells him that he takes the money from him and all that kind of thing. And then they blow up the cop's car. And he goes to pull him over. And Frank gets out of the car and he goes, "Where's your Shelby? Yeah. Your Mustang Shelby. Where's the Shelby at?" And never in the movie does Frank Lucas talk like he's from North Carolina with the same accent like we have.
Oh.
He does not talk like he's born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina, where he's from. And when he gets out of the car to talk to him, he actually has the twang.
Yeah.
And he gets out and he's almost that old school Southern, where the Shelby at?
Yeah.
That's how he talks when he talks just to him.
Yeah. It's to make him look dumb.
Yeah.
Because when you want to pretend to be dumb, you drop an accent.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's a hardcore regional accent. Bill Burr can really do a Boston Judge accent. Johnny Depp can do it. It was like, but down here, ain't no car that's gonna blow up on me, man. Hell no, ain't gonna blow up my car. But it's and it does vary, especially in the South. There are the Cantillion South. Mm-hmm. Oh my Lord, how dare you do that to me? And then you got the North Georgian accent, where they don't pronounce their R's and sound like they want to get their ass kicked, like Jimmy Carter. Rest in peace, Rosalind Carter. But yeah, so. It is this fantastic movie. It's just one of those ones I can only watch once and not give a shit about.
Yeah.
It is, for me, it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value. It's a very compelling movie. Mm-hmm. It's not Denzel's best.
I will agree with you there.
Granted, he could have got an Oscar for this. But it's not as good as like Malcolm X or Training Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the next one on the list is...
Ghosts of Mississippi.
So much fun movie. Folks, if you're listening to this for the first time, go back and watch the other episode. Go back and listen to the other episode where we all watched our movies from TNT.
Yes.
Every movie we love was on TNT at one time.
Yes.
And this was the one on TNT for damn near a year.
At least.
Oh God.
This was the movie where this was the first true crime movie I remember watching.
I think it was mine too. Like if I think about it, I think it goes to Mississippi or Mississippi Burning.
This was mine.
Yeah.
Because I watched this before I watched Mississippi Burning.
I remember being at my great grandma's house, sitting in the master bedroom on the bed, and this movie be on. Mm-hmm. And I'd sit there and watch it and play, and then I would just stop playing and just watch it. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those movies that caught my attention very quickly. The cast, in hindsight, the cast is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Alec Baldwin, Whoopi Goldberg, James Woods, William H. Macy, Virginia Madsen. All these people have fucking Oscars. Mm-hmm. Every last fucking one of them.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they have them and they've earned them.
Not just that, the real people are in the movie.
Yeah.
I believe it's her kids that are playing themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Mrs. Evers' kids are playing themselves as the older version.
Yes.
But no, it's the true story of the death and assassination of Medgar Evers, the one that doesn't get talked about.
Yep.
If you want to learn more about that, we talk about his assassination and some of his works on History We Forgot with me and Ms. Phillips. But we also talk about the other ones too.
Yeah.
Whole assassination.
Assassinations of the 60s.
Yes. And when we do the conspiracy episode about that, it's going to be how we find out who really did it. It was the Hamburglar.
Not Grimace?
No, not Grimace. Grimace that can't hold a gun. He doesn't have thumbs. He has mittens. But no, James Woods.
Oh, man.
Byron DeLay Beckwith.
Beckwith.
What a name.
Oh.
It doesn't roll off the tongue like Lee Harvey Oswald, but it is a name you say, and it's like there's a hard R in there somewhere. Right? In a very... Yeah. James Woods is really good at playing that type of character.
Yeah.
A vehement racist.
Yeah.
Too good.
Yes. He's almost too good in this movie.
Alec Baldwin is the white knight character who's trying to do his best. And, in all intents and purposes, he could have just quit.
Yeah.
He could have just walked away. But he fought the good fight. The retrial, everything, trying to dig up evidence. And it kind of gives you this idea of what the good old boy system was back in the day.
Yeah.
Because his father-in-law had the gun.
Yeah.
The whole time. Because you find out that back then, if a gun was used in evidence, it would get lost and it'd end up in a judge's or cop's house.
Yeah.
But somehow the gun was in his father-in-law's house. And it's that small world kind of thing that bothers the fuck out of me sometimes. It is, like I said, it's a wild movie.
It's an amazing
It's on
movie.
HBO, I think, still. I think it's on there for a little bit longer. But no, check that movie out. It's fantastic. Some of the lines in the movie are done too perfectly. William H. Macy, as a private investigator.
William H. Macy is everything in this movie.
He's like, hey, do you need a gun? He's like, here, take this one. No, take this one. Nah. And he's just pulling guns out of the woodwork on his body.
Out of his back, out of his hip, out of his ankle.
Yeah, he gives him the ankle gun.
Yeah.
He's like, here you go. This is more for your speed. And it was like a 38 special, like a midnight special. Like, that's a pig sticker on the fucker.
Yeah.
But no, Virginia Madsen plays his wife.
Oh.
His marriage dissolves because of his work on this case.
It doesn't dissolve, it explodes.
Yeah. But then he meets another woman.
Yeah.
The doctor woman. And it kind of works out for him in the end. It's no like riveting, ending like A Time to Kill or some shit. But like it's kind of got that same feel.
Yeah.
Because those movies did come out kind of concurrently. But this was a TNT staple.
Yes.
Forever. Fantastic movie. I can't recommend it enough.
Absolutely.
Whoopi Goldberg is fantastic.
Oh yeah, she's
very stoic.
Yes.
Like she's not like, because she's a comedic actor. Because she was in like the Sister Act movies. She was on SNL. Did all that stuff with Billy Crystal.
Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yeah. So, and her going from that to this is damn near perfect. But yeah, a full recommendation on that. And it's got the woman from Justified in it, Mags Bennett.
Yep. Mags Bennett's in it.
Yep. The next one is
Miss Evers Boys.
Miss Evers Boys. This one was a little bit rougher.
Oh yeah.
You want to?
So, the Tuskegee experiment.
Yes. The Tuskegee experiment, for those who don't know, was a government testing facility.
Yeah.
That tested the effects of syphilis and other things.
Yeah.
But syphilis mainly, and eugenics to a point on Black Americans.
Yeah. The idea was that they were told they were being given cures, but they weren't.
No, they were actively infecting people with syphilis. Sterilizing quite a few people.
Yes.
Which happened here in North Carolina as well. There was a large lawsuit that came to a head, I think, back in 2004, where they were finally given kind of like a payout from a lawsuit from the state governments that were involved in the Tuskegee experiment, but also quite other ones too that didn't have a name.
Yeah.
Another version of this was the two-lane tests, where they used radiated material in grain cereals on people with like mental disabilities, people with Down syndrome, stuff like that, and to test the effects of radiation. So they broke eggs.
Oh bliss.
For a shitty omelet.
Again, all based on racism.
Yeah. It could be a rough movie to watch. It
is an extremely rough
It's an
movie.
educational movie, if anything. But it is very rough to watch.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Nope. I don't remember where I was.
I do. I told Mom she was working at T-Town in Mooresville.
Okay. So that's many a year ago.
2005-ish. I might have graduated high school by then.
Yeah, 2 years in Iraq, yeah.
I went wandering down there, and they used to do a thing, for those of you who don't know what T-Town Video is, they used to do what they call a 5 for 5. You could rent 5 videos for $5 if they were old enough.
Same with Family Video. And then you just never bring them back.
I did. And I had to bring them back rewound, or she would charge me for rewind fees, my own mother.
Be kind and rewind.
So I was looking for a last movie. I said, Mom, I want a movie based on something real. She said, you can pick this one, but it's a heartbreaker.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no winners in this.
Yep.
In this movie.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's in it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those. For me, it was a forgettable movie because I knew everything about it before watching it.
I had no idea what any of it was.
So yeah, I had gotten down to like early high school. I had gotten into a rabbit hole of the weird shit the government did to fellow Americans because we were involved in Iraq at the time. And I would hear these stories out of Iraq that, oh no, they're using depleted uranium rounds on the Iraqis. Oh, what do you mean depleted uranium? And it's like, no, they're using nuclear waste to make bullets to use on Iraqis because they've tested these bullets before. And so that's what C-130s were shooting at people from the sky, were depleted uranium rounds embedded in the ground now. So all of outside Baghdad and outside Afghanistan, Fallujah, stuff like that, is now irradiated ground forever. Because there's no half-life on your depleted uranium. This is shit that was used in a nuclear factory long ago that we can't use no more.
Yeah.
Except fashion into bullets. But no, it's a fascinating story. I recommend any teacher teach that.
I taught psychology.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad when it comes to the history of the United States, and this is the very bad part of it. Right up there with creating the Baconator. So bad for you. The next one.
Public Enemy. Or Public Enemies.
Public Enemies. This true story of John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson.
All those guys.
And all those guys. The book, I had the book, and it had a foreword written by Alvin Creepy Karpus, one of the few gangsters that got away. And it is a fantastic book. Goes into great detail about the FBI, Melvin Purvis, the agent who shot and killed Pretty Boy Floyd, who hunted down John Dillinger, who was a part of the team that killed Babyface Nelson. Ultimately, he ended up killing himself after the death of John Dillinger and Pretty Boy Floyd. The movie depicts Pretty Boy Floyd dying first, which isn't true. He died last, much later after John Dillinger. And what's crazy is Channing Tatum plays Pretty Boy Floyd in the movie for about 5 minutes. And it's a pretty cool scene. He's running through the orchard, just fucking, shooting through the orchard. And Melvin Purvis gets on one knee, pulls out a fucking hunting rifle and blows his, like a 30-06, I think, and just blows his fucking guts out. And they run up on him, and Channing Tatum has this great line. He's like, I hope you fucking die and go to hell. And it's like, damn. Because that was the day you weren't catching these guys. You were having to kill them. There was no catching, Bonnie and Clyde. There was no catching the Barker family. There was
no catching John Dillinger twice. They caught him that one time.
Yeah, Johnny Depp does a fantastic job, but everybody in this movie does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Christian Bale.
Yes.
Fantastic. The little asshole they got to play Hoover had that air about him. That fast talking, like vaudeville voice.
Yeah.
We will catch John Dillinger. It's just like that stymied little piece of shit voice. And it's just like they do portray him very well in the beginning of the movie, because he's having a Senate hearing and they're like, Mr. Hoover, have you ever arrested anyone? He's like, I don't see how that matters. It's just like, no, this is a fucking law agency. Have you ever arrested anyone? No, he hasn't. And somehow he's in charge of what's going to be the FBI.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's fucking insane. And he did, talk himself up during the times of, killing Ma Barker and all them. And he talked about how he caught he caught Alvin Karpus himself fleeing the scene. It's like, no, you didn't. Creepy Karpus would have ate your face. That goblin man would have shot you in the stomach and watched you die for 3 days. Because Karpus didn't give a shit. Yeah. He ran with the Ma Barker and all them. He didn't give a fuck about anything. Yeah. He was ready to die. It's somehow he made it through. But yeah, it's also the story of interstate crimes, which the mob fucking got involved, because the mob was involved in interstate crime. Yeah. Money laundering, racketeering, stuff like that. Interstate gambling. And that's when the FBI is like, see, this is why we need a nationwide police force. And that's the story of the FBI. Yeah. It's a fantastic film. Book is fantastic. The film is fantastic. And it's probably the best depiction of what those gangsters really were. Period. His girl, when he meets his girl in that movie, I love that so much. He's like, I want to tell you something. He's very honest with her very quickly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what you do. He's like, let me tell you something. I like fast cars. I like fast women. And I like getting the fuck on. And he puts her jacket out and puts it out. He's like, and that's all you need to know about me.
Yeah.
And he's like, sold.
And any girl Johnny Depp ever said that to would be like, okay,
Yeah.
you got it.
And the guy that played Babyface Nelson is the guy that played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire. Psycho motherfucker. Just like, take that shit, son of a bitch. Like he's just like casually standing outside of a fucking bank, and he thinks it's a cop, and it's not. And he just starts opening fire into the town. And it's just like, you crazy motherfucker. And man, it is such a good movie. Stephen Lang's in it. The guy from Avatar, or Curly Bill from fucking what was his name? Was it Bill? Was it Curly Bill?
Oh, it wasn't Curly Bill. It was
He was in Tombstone.
Ike Clanton.
Ike Clanton. He played Ike Clanton. Fantastic character actor.
Absolutely.
And he was one of the guys that was with Melvin Purvis hunting these motherfuckers down. Fucking fantastic movie. But yeah, so another good one, which I love, and I wish Cap was here for this one. Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. The story of the life and times of Henry Hill. And this movie kind of centers around one big thing in Henry Hill's life, the Lufthansa heist. But it's not the only thing he was involved in. The history of Henry Hill. He was also involved in what's called the Georgetown scandal, which was a gambling thing around college basketball with Georgetown. And they did a whole 30 for 30 about it, and he was in it. Like Henry Hill was in it. But he went to witness protection. Like he's the gangster who got out and testified against everybody. Have you ever seen Goodfellas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know it as well as you do, but I have seen it.
Ray Liotta on cocaine is one of the most hilarious fucking things I've ever seen in a movie. Because Ray Liotta has coke face. Coke face is when an actor can bug their fucking eyes out just enough to scare the shit out of you. But there's another fantastic cast. Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, Paul Sorvino, Robert De Niro, Sam Jackson, Christopher Maloney, who played Christopher in fucking Sopranos. A lot of guys from The Sopranos that are in it. Man, I wish Cap was here because maybe he would just be talking about Sopranos for the next 45 minutes. Hey, you remember Paulie? Yeah, but no, it's a fun movie. And when I talk about Goodfellas, what I love about it is there's two narrations. There's Ray Liotta and his wife, Karen. I loved Karen. Karen is probably the best mob wife in all of like movie history because she's fucking nuts too. She pretends she's not, but she is fucking nuts. You remember the scene where there's a scene in the movie where Ray Liotta has tortured a guy with Robert De Niro, and the phone rings, and the guy that's getting tortured answers it. It's for you, Henry. And it's his girlfriend crying. She's like, I don't know what. It's just this just garbled fucking thing, and she's just screaming and crying. And it turns out she had left with the guy across the street. A young man across the street had given her a ride and tried to assault her. And he dumped her on the street. That's the true story part of it. You don't see it in the movie, but that's what's implied. So Ray Liotta gets off work early. All right, let's put it in terms we understand. He
leaves work early.
Left work early, not getting paid, unpaid leave. Ain't no PTO in the fucking mafia. Drives all the way to her house. He picks her up and takes her home. And across the street are those three guys. Two guys standing with their buddy who sexually assaulted this woman. That's why she's freaking the fuck out. When you're younger and watch it, you think, oh, he probably hit her. No. He did something to her in a very negative way. And he walks her to her door Bless you. He walks her to her door, which I love. Still a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing guys do, the turn it off. And the fucking just walks, there's a beeline toward this guy's house.
Mm-hmm.
And pulls a fucking snub-nosed revolver. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Bop, bop, bop. And starts beating the shit out of this, pistol whipping a man in his own driveway and striking him in his orbital socket. And you hear the crunch, crunch, bam, bam. And then he pulls the gun on the two guys so they don't move. And you're like, that gun is fucked. That gun broke as soon as it cracked his fucking skull open.
Yeah.
And he walks, and this is when her narration comes in. And it's the funniest fucking thing because I get Cap to quote it because he could do the voice part. He could do her voice fucking perfectly. And she's like, a lot of girls would have ran, but I got to say, it turned me on. And it's just like, you are a monster too, bitch. You're crazy too. You deserve each other. Both of you are fucking awful people. You deserve each other. You psycho woman. Fucking fantastic. Best movie. Martin Scorsese's mom is in it. She plays Joe Pesci's mom. Joe Pesci, just the scariest motherfucker on the movie. Because this is one of those ones that TNT played for a fucking year.
It seems like, to me, it was always in a row. It was this one, and then Casino, and then one of the Godfather movies.
Usually one.
Yeah.
AMC kind of picked up the Casino and Goodfellas thing because they would do Gangster Week right next to Shark Week, and it's just like, God damn it. But yeah, Casino, same kind of thing. You know, another true story.
I didn't know that was a true story.
Yeah. But he lived. Ray Liotta lives too. But Joe Pesci's character gets killed in Goodfellas. Not as bad as he did get killed in Casino in a cornfield being buried alive. But no, fantastic movie. This is like a gangster flicks of gangster flicks. This is right up there with Godfather 1 and 2. So fun to watch. The soundtrack is fun. The opener of him just saying, the opening line is like, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be a gangster. Burr, 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 burr. It's just that fucking 50s fucking crooner music.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. Yeah, I'd love to watch that again.
All right, the next one's you, because I haven't seen that one.
Oh, The Basketball Diaries. Leonardo DiCaprio, true story movies are his bread and fucking butter.
Yes.
Whether it's Titanic, Wolf of Wall Street,
Hey.
The Revenant, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is 3.5 hours long, required an intermission, and I will be watching at home. The comfort of my own house.
Yes.
Which is another true story of just horrific Native American being murdered. But no, Basketball Diaries tells a story of a young basketball player who gets hooked on drugs. And Leonardo DiCaprio had just came out of doing What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I think, around this time, right before Titanic. This movie, if you watch it, is a heart-wrencher. It is so fucking sad. Just him going from having, you know, all these prospects to playing sports and, you know, getting out to just falling into drugs. There's a scene in it, it'll make you cry, is he's knocking on his mom's door. It's late at night. And she's already told him, I'm not giving you any money. And he's begging, crying, screaming, knocking on the door. The chain's keeping the door from being shut. And he's like, please, Mom, I'm starving. I need something. Please just give me some money. And she's like, I can give you some food. He's like, no, bitch, I need some fucking money. And he's just crying and just struggling. Just the addict is coming out. And it is a heart-wrencher to watch because he sticks his hand in the door and it's stuck. She has to break his fucking hand to get his hand out of the door. Yeah, it's a wild one.
Yeah.
If you want a true story DiCaprio movie, this is the one. This is a good one. It's not as good as Titanic. There was no door to save his ass. You know what I'm saying?
Charlie's not here with me, but I swear to you, he and Rose could have fit on that door.
Oh, no.
They both could have fit on that door.
Maybe.
I will maintain it till the day I die.
She fucked a street urchin. And that's it.
And they both could have fit on the door.
The next one. Another
Johnny Depp.
Classic.
Blow.
So fucking good. I've never wanted to watch a man beat a woman so fucking bad in a movie. And Johnny Depp beating the fuck out of his wife in this movie, where she's just like, he's like, fucking cocaine out of the seat, you fucking piece of shit. And I'm just like, I would have took the cop's gun and put one in her. Oh my God, I would have killed this bitch. So fucking bad. No, it's the story of George Jung, one of the handful of drug dealers who created the coke flow from Colombia to Medellin, all the way to the United States. The drug runner. Mm-hmm. Right up there with the cocaine cowboys and Griselda Blanco and all the other stories you hear about these people that are larger than life bringing cocaine in the country in the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. Just a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Another one, Paul Rubens, Johnny Depp. Who was his wife?
It's been
Penelope Cruz.
Yep, Penelope Cruz.
Ray Liotta played his pops.
Yep,
I loved his dad in this movie. His dad never gave up on his boy, but his mom was a cunt. Oh my God, his mom. Johnny hit that Boston accent, and when he's telling the story of being a kid, it's so fucking sad. When he's talking about, and my dad promised her the moon and didn't deliver. So she left. But she'd come back every now and then, usually around Christmas. My dad would take her back every time. And it's just like, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Your dad should have murdered her. And he would have gotten away with it too. Women died all the time in the 60s. He would have been fine. It was the 50s. People disappeared all the time. But this one had the song at the beginning. Can You Hear Me Knocking by the Rolling Stones. And it starts at the end. Like any good story, we start at the end.
Yes.
A bloated Johnny Depp is smuggling marijuana through a fucking plane with his buddy Dooley. And then the movie starts from there. The story of George Jung. And then it ends with his buddy betraying him, which is the saddest fucking thing.
Yeah.
But no, Blow is probably one of the best movies about drug dealing ever. It had a cool cover too. It was all like a sheen silver cover, and it was him and Penelope Cruz on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh man, such a good movie. Great soundtrack. It kind of reminds me of Catch Me If You Can a little bit. Like those two movies kind of run in tandem with each other. Great soundtrack, crazy fucking story, crazy protagonist.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next one is kind of a rough one.
It's not kind of, it is.
Spotlight.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember who's on it. Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton is the editor of the Boston Globe. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Nope.
No, he's in the other one. He played the priest in the other movie with Meryl Streep.
Yes.
Another terrible fucking movie about Catholics. This movie is about Catholics and child molestation.
Yes.
But it's about the Boston Globe.
Yes.
Who uncovered it in Boston. It took years to do. This kind of coincides with a documentary that you love, is the one about
Keepers.
The Keepers, amateur sleuths who just. Well, I hate to say they're amateur, but they were amateurs, but they took real evidence and found the links between what the Catholic Church was doing and hiding information of deaths, molestations, movements within the clergy and stuff like that, and how they were actively moving priests that were accused of molestation to other parishes and kind of creating this network of just pieces of shit. But this is the story of the people who brought it to light.
Yeah.
And
this was nation and then worldwide. Yeah.
This kind of rocked the, not just Boston, but it reached New York so quickly that there was a shift that people talked about that was in the air about walking around Catholic churches and stuff, and whole parents taking their kids out of Catholic schools and just demanding their fucking money back. And there was a large, like I remember that they said the Catholic Church had like anticipated this and anticipated like a 17% drop in attendance, and didn't and that like they had prepared like this was going to come out eventually, and they had already made a plan. They had a slush fund of money for victims already in place to do out of pocket deals, back alley deals to keep the kids shut, much like the Michael Jackson Foundation did. Yeah, and it is just fucking rough.
It is
fantastic. I think. What is her name? Rachel McAdams is the other one.
I couldn't think of her name.
Yeah. No, they get threatened. They get followed. Cops get involved.
Yeah.
Who are pro. And that's the fucked up thing. Is it's like, that's how embedded the Catholics were. Yeah. In places like Boston and, parts of New York. Where like even cops were protecting these pieces of shit. And just another movie to teach you why you shouldn't trust the police.
One of the things that makes this such, it's a really rough topic, but one of the reasons that it's a rewatch movie for me is the characters are so well done, and you have a couple of them that you see them waver, like maybe we shouldn't do this.
Yes, there is a point where Michael Keaton's just like, if we go down this path, we can't really turn back. Yeah, he's like he's laying it out for him very, very correctly, because in journalism, you can't take it back. Yeah, once it's in the ether, it's out there. This is the same thing. The two journalists who broke the Nixon case, All the King's Men, the story of those, Woodward and Bernstein. They went down a path they weren't going to be able to go back from. You're accusing a president of treason, of being a crook. And they're doing the same thing with a giant political body that is the Catholic Church, the pillar of Boston. And you're about to crack it wide the fuck open. And it was, it's one of those things, we have it down here, the unspoken things. How could you not say anything? It's like, no, it's not up to us to say anything. This was the culture that bred this. It happened, and it continued to happen, and it became one of those things. I remember a comedian had talked about it. He's just like, oh, yeah, my grandmother said, oh, yeah, there was always that one person you didn't, allow kids around in the family, that uncle or that grandparent who wasn't allowed around the kids or cousin. Families do this. This was a way of life for a lot of people who were just like, no, we don't let the kids around this person in the family alone. But it's the same with the church. It's like, oh, I heard he did something to the Thompson boy. Oh, that's a shame. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Yeah. Bless his heart. And that's it. It's the same down here. But with the Catholics, I think what it was is that it's an institution and a political force. A great example of this is the movie Primal Fear. Yes. Where one of the altar boy snaps. Love Primal Fear.
Oh, God. Edward Norton.
Laura Linney should never turn her back on Edward Norton, ever. The way he hurdles the fucking witness stand. Oh, my God. Where are you going, bitch? Me and my dad watched this the other day. It's just like,
I love Laura Linney when she turns around. Excuse me?
You heard me. And it fucking hurdles the goddamn bitch and just puts her in the perfect headlock. And I love his state. I'll kill her. I'll snap her fucking neck right now. And it's just like, that's peak Ed Norton. Mm-hmm. Oscar-worthy Ed Norton. Yep. Brother Vineyard.
Yeah. And Richard Gere's face. I know we're not supposed to talk about this because it's not technically a true story, but Richard Gere's face when he starts out and then he says, tell Miss Linney that I'm sorry about her neck. And Richard Gere's face, he should have got an Oscar.
He called it almost. He almost didn't.
Yep. And then he stops right there and he's like,
I'm trying to remember, what was her name? Miss Devereaux or something like that? It was a fancy name.
Yeah, whatever her name is.
Miss Vale. Mr. Vale.
Yeah, tell whatever her name is that I'm sorry about her neck.
Yep.
And the look on his face is like, holy shit.
Oh, man, that's if you guys get a chance, we're talking about true stories, but check out Primal Fear with Richard Gere and Laura Linney. And
pause this and go and then come back.
Oh, God, it's so fucking horrific. But yeah, Spotlight is probably one of those movies that is, cemented in time of a true event that it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value, but you only need to watch it once to kind of get the gravity of it. Also, watch The Keepers. The Keepers is a fantastic documentary.
Yeah, pace yourself though.
Yeah.
It is extremely rough, but it's well worth a watch.
Don't be like the youth of today and cry when you learn about the Jonestown.
And don't be like me. Don't be like, it's okay, I can watch this all in one day. Don't do that.
I did.
I did too. And I shouldn't have.
Different personality types.
And I'm like, oh, I can binge this in one day. I should have watched it one day, watched one episode one day, and then took a beat.
Mine was, I watched it all in one day and been like, yeah, we could get rid of all the Catholics. It wouldn't be that hard. It's only probably like 8 million people.
I didn't want to get rid of all the Catholics. I just wanted to fix it to where we didn't have to have priests alone with people.
No, this is one of those games, is like if Chris was in charge. Yeah, we can get rid of them. We'd probably make the world a better place. But so the next one is probably one of the funnest true stories. Did you ever watch this movie, Catch Me If You Can?
I did. It's just been a really long time.
Fucking the story of Frank Abagnale. Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio corner the market on true stories.
Yes.
But Leonardo DiCaprio playing Frank Abagnale, one of the greatest forgers in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. The movie does play up his abilities in more outlandish ways. Some of the stuff he does in the movie is not what he did in real life. One is pretending to be a Treasury or an FBI agent to get away from a Treasury agent. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But he was quick on the trigger and moved fast.
Yeah.
It's just a story of Frank Abagnale. His father had left. His mother had kind of just gave up on him, and he was out on his own.
Yeah. But
he realized very quickly how the finance system worked when it came to checks. Younger people listen to this. The golden age of checks is over.
Yeah.
But there was a time where your grandma would cut a check, buy groceries, and never go back to that store. Ever. I remember working in a BILO, and they started telling us to get the driver's license numbers off people before they cut a check and had to write it down. Oh, my God, what a pain in the ass.
Oh, I remember having to do that at the very first grocery store I worked at, and I remember how many cussings I toted.
Oh, yeah.
I've been coming here to this grocery store my whole entire life, youngin', and I ain't never had to show my driver's license. Sir or ma'am, I understand that, but I am
You want to keep coming back?
I am required to write your driver's license number on this check.
Yeah. But no, it's about forgery. And it was a perfect forgery. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. He took his time and did these forgeries perfect. He pretended to be a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
He pretended to be a lawyer. Here's the thing, though. Frank Abagnale did take the bar exam in Louisiana and passed it. He just didn't go to college. Mm-hmm. So technically, he didn't defraud the legal system in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. No, he got it. I remember that scene where Tom Hanks is in this movie.
Yes.
It's one of his best movies. But he looks at him, he's like, how did you cheat? He's like, cheat what? The bar exam. He's like, oh, I didn't cheat. He's like, what? No, he's like, I'm a forger altogether, but I never cheated on that test. And you got to think about, holy shit, if he didn't cheat, that means he's legally a representative of the justice system of Louisiana who happened to pretend to be a surgeon.
Yeah.
A doctor, a night doctor. Mm-hmm. And he met his wife that way. I felt so bad for her. Amy Adams played the nurse with braces that he fell in love with. Barton Sheen's in it. Fucking it's so funny how he's just fucking people over left and right. Jennifer Garner in it. She's in it. She plays a prostitute at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And he pays her with a check. $1,000 cashier's check. Because he wanted to have sex for the first time. And she said it'd be $1,000. And he's like, God damn, like for the 1950s? Fucking hilarious movie. Mm-hmm. The next one is The Green Book.
Yep, more recent.
This one was kind of, I would say, Oscar bait.
Yeah, it was.
But it's still a good movie. It doesn't take away from that fact.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a true story of a pianist being chauffeured around by Viggo Mortensen's character, Italian American chauffeur who needed a job.
Yeah.
His job was to get him through this American South and through most of the United States safely. With the terms and conditions of the Green Book, which was a certain reservation book for people like him.
African Americans.
Yeah. To travel safely, between venues. The one that I love, one of the scenes I love is when they go through one of the sundown towns. They get pulled over in the middle and it's raining. And you're thinking, oh shit, this is going to be like a Mississippi Burning type situation. Yeah. And they're pronouncing old boy's name. No, this is so-and-so. What's his name? Belatsky? It's just like, no. It's Vaviletto or some shit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what kind of name? He's like, it's Italian. And he's just like, oh. And then proceeded to call him every name under the sun that is an Italian, And he punches him in the fucking face. Like he punches, and it's like, now we're going to jail, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But they do a Kennedy call and get the fuck out the jail.
Yeah.
But no, it is a kind of a movie about just two men getting to know each other in a really fucked up situation. Because at the end of near the end of the movie, Viggo Mortensen's character goes back home, and the main character is left alone. But he decides to go to the man's house, and he's welcomed with open arms. Yeah, because there's an understanding now that, hey, this is the guy I chauffeured around. Please show some respect for Mr. Because he still refers to him as Mr. Mm-hmm. Because what's funny is, like, the Italian guy's kind of the hick in the situation. Yeah. He's just like, do you not have any fucking manners? And Viggo Mortensen is like, what? You don't eat the whole bucket? Like he's eating a bucket of chicken. Yeah. And it's fucking hilarious. Mm-hmm. It's a good movie. It kind of reminds me of Driving Miss Daisy just a little bit.
It kind of is, yeah.
But he kind of, because he's like the hoity-toity guy. Yeah. But it's the other way around. Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It won the Oscar, I think, that year.
I think so.
Yeah. Another one. This one was on TBS a lot. Erin Brockovich.
Yes.
This is the true story of a chemical company that poisoned the town. Yes. This is one of the more wilder stories because it leaves out some big stuff at the end where it doesn't really do a big epilogue at the end. Mm-hmm. Long story short on this one, a chemical company knowingly poisoned the town. She gets involved. Her personal life kind of intercedes. Mm-hmm. But they end up representing the victims of the town. Yes. She does some tricks to kind of get the information, but she does get the true information. Mm-hmm. She proves that they knowingly poisoned people in a town. Mm-hmm. They win the case, win a settlement, the end. Mm-hmm. What they leave out is her firm that she worked for got a big chunk of that fucking settlement. Bigger than you think they would have. Mm-hmm. So it kind of tarnishes the story of Erin Brockovich to a point. Yeah. But she still won. That's the thing. It's just like, if it's the David versus Goliath, law case, mm-hmm. The big company poisons the town, doesn't care, lets them die on the vine. Mm-hmm. Here comes this plucky fucking lawyer.
Who isn't technically a lawyer. Yeah. As she says so often.
Yeah, but she's like a private investigator. Yeah. But yeah, this is one of those movies I only watched like a handful of times, but it was on TBS all the fucking time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I'm going to skip to one. Dallas Buyers Club. Did you watch this movie?
Oh, yeah.
What a fucking ride of a movie.
Oh, yes. Absolutely it was.
Matthew McConaughey beat DiCaprio for the Oscar for this one from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Dallas Buyers Club.
I could see that.
Even though Matthew McConaughey is in Wolf of Wall Street, pounding his chest, be like, fuck you, I won. Yeah. But no, this is the wildest, like, true story. And it's about AIDS. Yeah. We don't really,
It's been a while.
It's been a while since AIDS has been brought up. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to high school, AIDS was not as big, but it was a good thing to learn about. Yeah. One is like, if you're going to watch movies about AIDS, The Band Plays On is a good movie. It's got Matthew Modine. Mm-hmm. It's about the people who codified AIDS and proved that it was its own disease. It was an HBO movie for years.
The one that when I remember when I was old enough to know anything about it, Philadelphia had just come out.
Oh, Tom Hanks.
Yeah. That was the one.
Explain it to me like I'm a child.
Yeah. Mom, that's the one Mom had me watch.
Oh, that's so sad. We watched the Ryan White story in health class, which is filmed at South Iredell High School. the school he goes to is South Iredell High. So if you go to watch that movie, if you look down, the mat is an Iredell County, Board of Commissions mat. On the school we go to with the giant blue roof is South Iredell High. Here where you teach.
Hey.
But yeah, so Dallas Buyers Club is the story of a man who catches AIDS and smuggles drugs from Mexico through Texas and creates a underground pharmacy for AIDS patients. And it's, this is when we kind of get into the idea of like what's legal and what's illegal.
Yeah.
When it comes to something this severe. In all intents and purposes, he broke the law by
transporting something
drugs
that was technically illegal.
Drugs from one country to the United States.
But how many people did he help?
But yeah, so you're not. He's not doing it with malice and forethought. So that's the big thing about crime.
And it's not like cocaine.
Yeah, but that's the big thing about breaking the law that I have a problem with. If you break the law, they should have to prove malice. Like you're doing this unethically.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing it just for the money. No, he's doing it to try to stay alive.
Yeah, it's like a Robin Hood thing.
Yeah, Jared Leto's in this movie. He plays another young man who's got AIDS, and they both knock it out of the park.
Absolutely.
Jennifer Garner is the nurse who helps him find like the right drugs, and it kind of creates a preface to what a lot of AIDS patients deal with now, which is called the cocktail. These are the drugs I take every day to live. Keep the viral load down, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this was the story since Philadelphia. There wasn't a lot of movies between then.
Yeah.
Other than Rent. Everyone has AIDS. AIDS.
I love Rent though.
But no, Dallas Buyers Club was on Netflix for a long time, and it still is, I think. But it's one of those movies that has some rewatch value. The actors in it are phenomenal. Matthew McConaughey,
yes,
probably one of his best roles.
I agree.
Like it's a dramatic role, of anything, and it kind of sucks it out. The whole, he's a very happy-go-lucky guy in movies. No, this is his Anthony Hopkins moment.
Yes.
This is when the funny guy gets serious. We talked about it earlier with Ghost of Mississippi. Alec Baldwin was part of SNL at that time. So,
yeah.
They dropped the hammer down and just said, fuck it, let's make something serious. The next one is Selma. About Martin Luther King and the March on Selma.
Yes.
This one I only watched once. It was on HBO. The guy who played Martin Luther King did a fantastic job.
He did.
I hate him on almost everything else, though. Because he plays a villain, to a point.
Yeah.
He plays a bureaucrat villain. But he played Martin Luther King very well.
He did.
And the seriousness of that situation, and on the anniversary that it came out, because it came out on the anniversary of the march.
Yes.
It's another civil rights tale. Kind of like Ghost of Mississippi. Hey, this is what happened. This is what everyone went through. And, it's very cut and dry. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's like Hidden Figures a little bit. But it's not like 12 Years a Slave,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is one of those, you could teach this in school. Like if you wanted a visual representation of what this looked like. But you also had actual footage.
Yes.
Of the riot. Or not a riot. The police trying to shut it down.
Yeah.
But all in all, a great cast. Highly recommend. If you're looking for a true story about that particular time era, Selma, Ghost of Mississippi. I'm trying to think of the one. I think it's called Last Night in Memphis, which is the story of him getting killed. It was a documentary. All those kinds of movies, they do very well because I think the information is so freely there that you had so many witnesses and so many people being part of it that it'd be hard to get it wrong.
True.
I
can agree with that.
But if you're getting so many people involved, all their not just eyewitness testimony, but their testimonies together paint a very clear picture of what's going on, and it coincides with actual footage.
Yeah.
Of them getting the shit kicked out of them, the police and dogs and shit attacking them. And, the story of Alabama and the story of Mississippi, this is this was a common occurrence throughout.
Yeah.
Not just this little place in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I said, great watch. Check it out. The next one. Have you seen this one called Vice?
I have.
Christian Bale as the former president, Dick Cheney. You kids might not know this, you younger listeners, but at one time we had a vice president who was the president. And the guy who was the president was the guy who just wanted to paint and do cocaine. The president was George Bush. The real president was Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
This is probably the wildest fucking movie.
It is. It really, really is. Like, really and truly.
I remember watching the trailer for this, and I'm just like, I got so hyped just by the trailer.
I know. I got a phone call when the trailer came out.
Oh, man, you got to watch this.
No, that's not how you sounded. I answered the phone and said, hello, Christy! You gotta watch this trailer, oh my God! I'm like, calm down.
It was almost as good as season 5 Stranger Things trailer, The Journey. But no, they used that rap song, and it's just like, you would use a rap song for Dick Cheney. A heart. If you want to talk about a real gangster, it's Dick Cheney.
I mean,
I remember like the chorus part, right hand of God, first in command, and I'm just like, yep. He saw himself as that.
Yes, he did.
Amy Adams plays Lynn Cheney, his wife, who is also a fucking psycho.
Yeah, she had her moments.
Oh, no. Had her moments, my ass. And the guy who made Adam McKay, who did the movie, did try to make a sympathetic light as much as he could for Dick Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
He had a young family when he was the youngest press secretary during Nixon. He was part of the administration under Ford. He was the Secretary of Defense under Bush Sr.
Mm-hmm.
He worked in the Reagan administration. He was the Republican Party guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the short list of next candidates. And then the late 90s came about, and then there was the Republican Bush, and he said, I don't want it because his daughter is gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the part of the movie where it kind of changes tone. Was, do not ever bring up my daughter in conversation. That was genuine love.
Yeah.
Like that right there is genuine. I believe wholeheartedly that was Dick Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
He may be a monster when it comes to diplomatic means, but don't ever talk about his goddamn family.
Yeah.
Because he'll fucking kill you. God tried to kill him like 6 times and couldn't do it. He tried to stop his heart, and he fought back. I think that second one, he ripped one out of a child and just put it in. Like,
so you're saying when Chuck Norris goes to sleep at night, he looks under his bed for Dick Cheney?
He should. But Chuck Norris's heart isn't as strong as what he needs. I remember when Bush Sr. died and they did the funeral, and Jeb Bush and George Bush were sitting next to Barack and Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama was sitting next to George Bush, and Laura Bush is on his other side. And George Bush Jr., best friend is Michelle Obama. Like, that's his best fucking friend. I think it's because he wasn't allowed to date black women, because that's why Condoleezza Rice was his second in command. Tell me I'm wrong. Condoleezza Rice couldn't do no wrong under George Bush's eyes.
Now, see, I just thought it was because Condoleezza Rice was just a badass in her own right.
She was. But George was like, that's my bitch. Laura's okay.
Laura's okay.
Laura's a librarian Democrat from Texas.
I mean,
Condi, she'll do a rail and drink with me a little bit. You know, she'll pop a top every now and then.
I just figured it was just because she was a badass.
I'm going to
in her
Saudi
own right.
Arabia and I ain't wearing that stupid fucking headdress.
Yeah, she did that.
Okay.
I remember. She did that.
Fuck yeah, you want a gun too? we'll give you a gun. I bet she would have won. If anybody wanted to pop off around, I think she would have killed somebody.
I mean,
but no, just his best friend's fucking Shelley Pop. But there was this part, Donald Trump's sitting up there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the third row is Dick Cheney looking at the back of Donald Trump's head. And like he had this villain look on his face. Like he was going to suck the soul out of Donald Trump and eat him. Like it's just like, can you imagine if that had happened, if Dick Cheney had got up with his 3 robot hearts and just fucking started pummeling the president of the United States because he just didn't like the motherfucker? Because he would have. He would have. But Vice is such a fun movie.
it is hilarious.
The chilling part of the movie is the end,
Yes.
where Christian Bale kind of looks at the camera as Dick Cheney. And he gained a lot of weight. This was not prosthetics. He gained, like, I think it was like 85 to 95 pounds just to play the role.
Yeah.
Because Dick Cheney, in all intents and purposes, is a larger-than-life guy. Mm-hmm. He's like a Teddy Roosevelt guy, you know, just a big guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a presence in the room. Mm-hmm. But in the movie, he's having an interview, and he kind of looks at him and is just like, you like what you have? I killed so many people for you to have it. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. He's acknowledging he is the devil. He's the usher from Fall of the House of Usher. He's that guy. He's just like, oh, yeah, I did it. And I'll do it again, too. And I don't give a goddamn. I'll let this whole goddamn house burn down with me and you in it. He's that guy. You know, he's a suicide bomber of the political spectrum. True believer. I do not recommend this movie enough. This movie is such a fun movie to watch.
Mm-hmm. It is funny.
I like how he just casually has heart attacks, and he's just like, Lynn, I'm going to need you to. He's like doing the fist thing. He's like, I'm going to need you to call an ambulance. And they're like, oh my God, Dick. And he's just like, it's okay. God can't kill me here. I will die in a hot air balloon accident. I think that'd be like the best way for him to go.
Yeah.
A freak hot air balloon accident.
Mm-hmm.
He was like hunting people in a balloon.
Yeah.
That's how he went down.
That would be him.
It's the most dangerous game shit.
Yeah, for real.
Shot a man in the face. In the face. Mm-hmm. And made him apologize. God damn. That's mythical. That's some mythical shit.
Yes, it really truly
doesn't
is.
Sound real. The next one is Charlie Wilson's War.
Yes. My dad's favorite movie.
Yeah, it's a wild story. Mm-hmm. It's a story of the Mujahideen. Mm-hmm. The preamble to the Taliban.
Yes.
How the brave fighters of the Mujahideen became the Taliban at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. But no, it's about the Vietnam for Russia. That's what it was. It's a quagmire or whatever word you want to use for it. But how do we smuggle weapons into Afghanistan to kill the Russians? Mm-hmm. Well, what we do is we pack them up, ship them to Palestine, ship them through Israel, ship them through Pakistan, and make sure you wipe off the fucking Star of David. I love that. See, he's like, what am I going to do with all these boxes with the fucking Star of David on them? He's just like the two guys just arguing back and forth. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, we'll just paint over it.
My favorite's when, right at the beginning, when Tom Hanks meets Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's a thick door. He bugged the bottle of scotch he gave him.
Yeah, the bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
You put a bug in my champagne? I put a bug in the champagne, just get past it. It's like, what?
Philip Seymour Hoffman was a fantastic actor.
Yes, he was.
This movie, like many other ones, a movie we don't have on here is Boogie Nights. He's in Boogie Nights.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that next, but...
Yet again, that's going to have to be you.
Yeah. But no, Charlie Wilson's War. Tom Hanks does a fucking phenomenal job. Julia Roberts, Amy Adams, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the guy that played Roger Sterling from fucking Mad Men's in it. He's the head of the CIA. He's the one that Philip Seymour Hoffman's yelling at. He's like, maybe it's a good idea to have first-generation Americans learn Finnish. This is like he's screaming at the fucking head of the CIA. He's just like, but no, we didn't fucking do that, did we, dick? And then just throws a fucking chair through the glass and walks the fuck out. Meanwhile, we need to figure out a way to smuggle weapons to Afghanistan through a Texas heiress and a lowly congressman from like the 93rd district of Texas who's on all the committees for some reason, and a ladies' man.
Very much so.
Charlie Wilson was the ladies' man.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Adams is his assistant, and she's this meek woman the whole time. And he's just like, no, honey, listen. And like Julia Roberts just talks down to her because I will say Julia Roberts in the movie, they make people look prospectively tall and small.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch the movie, the smaller people have lesser value. And she's like hovering over Amy Adams and is just like, listen here, pissant. And like it's a weird fucking dynamic they have in the movie. Mm. But it's a solid. But they go to Afghanistan, they see all the fucked up shit, and they talk about what they need. Mm-hmm. They get all those donors together. And it's the logistics of moving weapons through the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And he figures it out.
Yeah.
He uses sex, drugs, and alcohol, but he figures it the fuck out. And it's the biggest fuck you at the end of the movie. Where it's like, we did a lot of great things, we killed a lot of bad guys, but we fucked up the end game. That's the quote at the end of the movie. Yeah. And it was the fact that the United States abandoned the Mujahideen after the Russians were kicked out. There was no setup for the power vacuum that came in.
No follow through.
Yeah, which became the Taliban, which 20 years later ended up biting us in the ass. But no, like I said, it's a fantastic film. Yeah. I went to the theater and saw it with my dad. The theatrical version is a little bit different from the DVD version because in the theatrical version, he gets in a car accident, which really happened. He almost ran his car off a bridge, drunker and fuck, but got away with it. Mm-hmm. But Boogie Nights is the true story of John Holmes, played by Mark Wahlberg. This movie has the cast. Mm-hmm. You will never, in the history of film, get this caliber together. Mm-hmm. Burt Reynolds, Mark Wahlberg, John C. Reilly, Don Cheadle, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I have the guy from Ghost of Mississippi.
Alec Baldwin?
No, the private investigator. William H. Macy. Actual porn actresses are in the movie, like 2 of them. I think one is called something Hartley. And so many fucking actors are in this movie. And it's the story of John Holmes without the story of the Wonderland murders. Malice in Wonderland. That's a whole different film with Val Kilmer. But it's about him going in and out of the porn industry and trying to survive. Heather Graham and Julianne Moore. Mm-hmm. Those are the other 2 that are in the movie because they do porn together. Mm-hmm. It is the wildest movie. Casey and the Sunshine Band does a lot of the music, but there's a lot. The scene that people make fun of is Alfred Molina plays a real man named Eddie Nash, a hardcore drug dealer in Hollywood. Fun fact about Eddie Nash. This is crazy. Eddie Nash owned a series of nightclubs, which were the first nightclubs in the United States where gays were allowed to dance with each other. Mm-hmm. He did that. He became woke through crime. Motley Crue, Van Halen, Cinderella, all those bands played at his clubs first.
Yeah.
That's where they came from, the Starwood.
Oh, I've heard of that place.
Owned by Eddie Nash, a crazy psychopath who freebased cocaine by ounces, not grams.
Whoa.
Fun fact, when you freebase cocaine, you go by ounces.
Yeah.
And he took Quaaludes to come down to go to court.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fucking fantastic. Like in the history of fucking monsters, he's one of them. But no, John Holmes was a porn actor who eventually caught AIDS and died. But Mark Wahlberg plays him, because this is a fictional telling. He plays Dirk Diggler in the movie. It is fucking hilarious. The whole movie's fucking hilarious. Julianne Moore and Heather Graham are just doing a shit ton of cocaine. And it's the New Year's Eve of 79 to 80. And she's like, will you be my mom? Yes, I'll be your mom, blah, 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 blah. And they're just fucking freaking out together. Mm-hmm. I want to go for a walk. I don't want to go. Me neither. And it's just like they're freaking out because the decade's changing and they have no idea where their future's going. And it's fucking hilarious to me. But like it's heartbreaking, but it's fucking hilarious. I recommend anyone to watch Boogie Nights or Wonderland. But those are just the wildest stories because it happens not far from the Tate and LaBianca murders.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area of Laurel Canyon needs to be burned to the ground. It's cursed. It's fucking cursed. The next movie on here is, what is that? Haunting in Connecticut. You know more about this movie than I do.
Okay. There used to be a series on either A&E or Discovery that was a haunting, and then it'd be ... The first time I remember seeing this was on that show, and it was Haunting in Connecticut. And this family, it's a pretty large family, oldest son has cancer. And they're driving back and forth from the small apartment that they're living in. Husband is, I don't know what kind. I think he's a long haul trucker. I'm not sure.
This is the one where the mom was Virginia Madsen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're driving back and forth to take him to radiation treatments. And it's a long drive and everything. Rough on him and it's rough on the family. And they also have, I think she's a niece or a cousin or something that's staying with him that's about the same age as he is. I don't know. But she pulls over because he's sick from the radiation. She pulls over in the middle of the night and she finds a house for sale. And it's a very large house. She calls a realtor because the house is for sale. She calls and asks if they can spend the night there just long enough before they can get back on the road. And she says she's interested in looking at the place. They stay there overnight. Then she gets up the next day and she tells her husband, hey, the house is really, really cheap. It's really, really big. Everybody'd be able to have their own room, all this kind of thing. They go and they look at it and they say it's really cheap. Why is it so cheap? Realtor pulls them to the side and says it's a former funeral home. So they decide they'll take it. They just won't tell the kids. They take it. And the son says he's going to live in the basement because it's nice and cool and it has its own bathroom. And no one's going to have to hear him while he's in the bathroom and everything. During the time that they're there, a whole bunch of weird, creepy stuff starts to happen. He starts seeing things and hearing things. Says there are people in the walls. There are people trying to get him. And he finds out that it's a funeral home because he says he sees people performing autopsies and stuff like that.
This is, if I remember right, this is the one where he has visions of like people having seances and shit, and that stuff's coming out that dude's mouth.
Yeah.
That was the cover, I remember.
Yeah.
And there were dead bodies in the walls covered in fucking symbols and shit.
Yeah. The TV show didn't have any of that.
Well, I imagine not.
All they said on the TV show was that it was a former funeral home, and there were Native Americans buried on the property, and that there were some people who weren't buried properly at the funeral home, weren't disposed of properly. But since it's a movie...
Yeah, you got to show the dead bodies in the walls that are crying out because they're sent to hell.
Yeah. So you got to make it worse.
Yeah. No, I remember this movie. This is one of those ones I waited till they got into DVD. It wasn't worth going to the theater and watching. But I remember being fucking crazy as shit because the effects they did with that stuff coming out of that dude's mouth.
The ectoplasm.
Oh, yeah. Fucking wild. But it kind of plays into the next two movies real quick. I'm kind of just want to hit this one real quick. We had talked about it last time, Amityville. But the Winchester house.
Yes.
This movie had Helen Mirren as the last, the widow of the Winchester fortune. And she kind of went nuts.
Yes.
And built a large house in California where nothing went anywhere.
Yeah.
Stairways that led to brick walls, doors that led to the outside with no stairs, windows that never opened, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she would switch out the architects, switch out the workers, so no one really knew where anything went. There was plans to knock this wall down, which never happened because she changed fucking contractors halfway through. No one knew the fucking structure at all.
Yeah.
And she just went nuts.
Yeah.
Now, the supernatural part in that thing, it was just like when all the guns come alive and this is like trying to shoot her.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious. But no, this one was a good little horror flick. This and Haunting in Connecticut were good little loosely based on true stories.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's wild.
Now I will recommend the Haunting series. I think it's on A&E. I'm not sure, but the series is on I think Hulu maybe.
Yeah, I think it might be A&E.
But the whole series is good because it's a bunch of different houses. A couple of them are like bars.
Yeah.
And old buildings and stuff that are haunted, and it's supposedly the actual people, air quotes, will talk to you about the stuff that they saw and the stuff that they experienced and things like that in different houses. Those are actually really interesting, and they don't go into as much scary detail, and it's not as ectoplasm coming out of people's mouths and all that kind of thing.
That was an added effect. That was really good.
Yeah.
The next one I'm going to go ahead and we'll close it out with is a movie me and you saw in theaters, Operation Finale. Ben Kingsley.
Let's start with him and end with him.
Oscar Isaacs.
Yes.
This is when I did the research on the movie, it's a Nazi hunt, period, plain and simple.
Yep.
Oscar Isaac's character, and this is kind of a fucked up thing, was the time they catch this man, who is?
Adolf Eichmann.
Adolf Eichmann. The time Adolf Eichmann was in this area, another Nazi was in this area that they could have grabbed at the same time. Mengele. Dr. Mengele, the doctor of death.
Yep.
They had reason to believe he was there, but Israel wanted Eichmann because they knew he was there. There was information that Mengele might be there, but they didn't move on it fast enough. The true story of the character Oscar Isaacs plays says, I'll go back. I'll go. I don't need a fucking team. I'll just go back. And they said it was too dangerous for him to go back. They needed him for other stuff. And that's why they never did.
Yeah.
I've heard some theories of what happened to Mengele. Most likely, he died in the ocean of a stroke and drowned. That could be the story. Or Mossad agents took him out to the ocean and drowned him.
I've heard car wreck.
Yep. I've heard the fucking boys from Brazil. Okay.
Oh, we've all heard boys from Brazil.
Yeah. Well, there is that weird little town in South America where it's all white people and there's a shit ton of twins. Just saying. Maybe he figured something out. But who am I to say that a group of people in all of the places in the world, South America, where they only speak German and have white, blonde-haired people?
Like a conspiracy.
We will never know. We shall never know unless we go down there. The last American guy that went down there to trying to find the truth in South America ended up killing 900 people. So I'm gonna keep my fat ass up here. But no, we both were very interested in seeing this movie.
Yes.
Ben Kingsley's stellar performance.
This was actually one that I picked at We Go, and it wasn't a bad pick on my part for once.
Yes. Yes. This was before Crimson Peak.
No, this was after. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I think there was
this was a redeeming me.
Yeah. But this was also that mutual was like, you can't really fuck it up.
Let me have my moment.
This one though, this is one of those movies that I went to the theater and it kind of got me a little bit. It wasn't so much what happened, what he did, because they show him with the Eisengruben, killing people in trenches, half-ass burying them, killing them in vans, giant trucks or whatever, with exhaust and stuff like that. But there is this one, it's the audacity of Eichmann that is fucking horrific. Where they're telling him to shut the fuck up while they're interrogating him. And there's that group of people in the town looking for him. And they're looking for the Jewish people that have him. They're looking for the soldiers. And they're going door to door. And they've done a blackout in the house to make it look like no one's there. And Eichmann catches on. And he starts talking down. He's very respectful with his interrogators to begin with. But then he starts talking down to them like they're lesser people, especially Oscar Isaac's character.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, you don't think I don't remember her holding her baby up?
Your sister?
What was her name?
Freya.
oh my fuck, I would have beat that motherfucker and took his eyes. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
I'd have beat him into a dime.
Yep. So like it was one of those things where you're like, hold restraint long enough. And it is a photo finish. Like they they play it up as a photo. It's not. The true story is they were very safe and very smart on how they got out. There is that scene where the young girl who's bringing food to the house gets tortured. The young Jewish girl gets tortured by the Nazi party of wherever the fuck, Argentina. And that's kind of a fucked up kind of scene.
Yeah.
But we see his son. And it's like, there's this vehement scene I know they're trying to play up of him throwing the Nazi flag up on the house. And it's just like, this is what bred it to the second generation. Like, it was always there.
Yeah.
Always there. Because there's a B-side story of the son talking to this young girl who's the daughter of a Jewish man. This is where the movie kind of lost me. It's like, why is an older Jewish man living in Argentina where there's a large German population of fighting age males from that era? That didn't make a lot of sense to me. I think they added it for effect. It could be a true story. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the tale of stealing Eichmann out of a whole continent is fucking wild.
Yes.
Because when you talk about, the Nazi hunters, there was a lot of fuck ups, a lot of going after the wrong person or misidentifying the person. Recently, there was a documentary, I think 4 or 5 years ago, about a guy in Minnesota who they had said was, he was a guard at not Ravensbrück, it's one of those ones, but he was also a guard at Dachau. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense logistically. He couldn't be physically at two places within 3 days. It would have been impossible to move that quickly between two places in 3 days for him.
Yeah.
But Israel ended up taking him overseas back and, trying him. And there was not enough conclusive evidence, so he came back to the United States. But, that's just like a microcosm of giving someone free reign to kidnap people, even though it is for, ethical justice. But what's this is kind of what I had a problem with was, if they get away and go somewhere else, why are you bothering with a trial if your telling goal is vengeance? Because that's what it was. Kill them and tell the world they're dead. Because that was, I understand why you want to have a trial, but the big trial is already done. Those guys admitted in trial what they did. They admitted it.
Yeah.
Period. The fact that you want to keep bringing this trial up with other people kind of is a waste of time.
Well,
Eichmann, not so much.
Yeah, because he didn't.
But going after like guards and shit is a waste of fucking time. Just kill them. Just kill them. They had no problem doing it. Israel didn't have a problem doing it against the perpetrators of Munich in the Olympics. They didn't grab people for trial. They just killed them. Okay? Getting wishy-washy with how you do your game is a little sloppy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand you want to do a trial for a big name. Like, if you had Mengele, do a trial. Show him. He'd sing like a bird on the fucking stand because he was a believer.
Yeah.
Eichmann was a believer. Yeah, get those guys. But if you're like, this guy was a guard at Belsen or, Sobibor, just kill him. Because that happens in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They kill a man immediately.
Yeah.
And it's a mistake. But, I don't see, to me, it didn't seem like right that they had to kidnap somebody. Him, yeah. But the other ones, no.
I think with that, it's the idea of you have to bring them into the public eye so everybody can see that you know for sure this person is that person.
Yeah, but like
because if you just get a report that 3 guys found Joseph Mengele in stop it, in Argentina and executed him, then people like you and I are going to sit here at my dining room table and go, "You sure it was him? You sure?"
When it's the bigger picture, yeah. The bigger picture is the trial already happened. The Nuremberg trials were very cut in stone.
Yeah.
The people that got hanged and the people that went to prison all said, yeah, we did it.
Oh, not everybody.
They were proud of it. The big ones were.
Oh, not all of them. Most of them.
Just enough to prove that it happened.
Now, you get somebody like Goering who got on the trial and he said, "Oh, I firmly believed in what we were doing, but I was following orders."
Yeah, but like that's the pretense of it. You have a trial to prove that something happened.
Yeah.
They did it. They proved it happened. Later on, when you get the deniers, you can just shut them down saying, no, these people said they did it. Period. They can say they followed orders, but they still did it. That's what I had a problem with.
Yeah.
We know it happened. We have footage of it happening. We have eyewitness testimony of survivors who saw it happen. So the fact that we even have to have this argument with these people who say it didn't happen and we're not freely to beat them to death with soap is astonishing to me.
Well, you might as well just get over that because there's still people in this world that say it never happened at all.
Well, when they're right, they're right.
Yeah, tell it to my grandpa.
Yeah. But this movie was just probably more of the wild, true stories out there because it does tie into the movie Conspiracy.
Yes.
It does tie into Schindler's List.
Yes.
It does come full circle with people like Ben Kingsley playing these larger-than-life characters.
Yeah.
Who went from a board meeting to committing probably one of the greatest atrocities of the modern age.
Yes.
Because this was, industrialized murder.
Yes.
Plain and simple. It's not like the Khmer Rouge where it's an invasion of villages. It's not like the massive genocide from Russia where it was just starvation after starvation. No, this is good old factory murder. Yeah. An army of serial killers on meth is the only way I could describe the Nazi army. Yeah. The SS mainly. And they show it very well in this movie.
Yes.
Those guys in their prime doing what they're doing. It's not as horrific as some of the stuff I watched, as a younger person. Movies like Sobibor or The Gray Zone or other movies about the Holocaust that are a little bit more graphic, a little bit more not shying away. Another movie is one that got a lot of people upset was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. That was the one that threw a bunch of people off. And I'm just like, really? There are worse ones.
Well, I'll jump on that one because there's a reason that one's not on this list.
Yeah.
Because it's not true.
Yeah.
Because there's no way in hell it would have happened.
No.
And that's one of the things that makes me angry as an educator, because there's no way in the world that would have happened. It could not have happened. And it's one of those things where they tried to make a movie to inspire empathy and sympathy and all of that, but it's impossible. There's no way it would have happened. There's no way that could have happened. And then to try to bring a sense of humanity to the commandant of Auschwitz by him only being upset because his own son dies. Spoiler alert. No. That's absolute trash.
Well, that goes into the argument of do you use a factual thing as the backdrop to fiction? Can we use a real event as the background of a fictional story? It is in bad taste,
Mm-hmm.
but so is Hogan's Heroes. In bad taste of a Nazi POW comedy. It's in bad taste, but people enjoyed it. So I know where you're coming from. I know it's not true. Like, I know the story's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of get into this gray area of, well, do we not use factual events as backdrops in fiction ever? Do we just make up, because it's part of storytelling where you get the stories of what's called plausible fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is The Interpreter, a movie that came out recently with Jake Gyllenhaal, where an interpreter from Iraq is left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And is not able to make it to the United States, even though he helped the United States in the war in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's a fiction, but there's also a truth to the fact that interpreters were left behind,
mm-hmm.
and their families were killed by the regime coming in after the United States, dipped out. The whole man left behind. In all intents and purposes, he's an ally.
Yeah.
Isn't it bad taste to make it a fiction? Kind of like when we watched the movie Pearl Harbor. And it's a story about this girl trying to have a threesome with two guys. And when it should have been about Cuba Gooding Jr.
I'm just saying.
See, like, the backdrop is real. The story is fiction. So, like, you know what I'm saying? You get into this weird gray zone of storytelling where, okay, this movie did well because it's based on a true story of the backdrop, but not the story itself.
The difference with this isn't based on, at least when you had Pearl Harbor, you had the backdrop and you had a story of somebody like Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character. For this, you have one thread of an actual event to a tapestry of fake,
mm-hmm.
of unbelievable, no way in this universe or any other that any of this would have gone on.
For this particular movie, yeah, it can be in bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a lot of tact when it came to making this movie.
Yeah.
They could have just made this movie about the boy who died, not the son of a commandant who's clueless.
Yeah.
If you want to tell the story of morality of the Nazis or Germans in general, I would recommend watching Jojo Rabbit. That is a story about a young boy who changes his mind about what it is to be a Nazi German. He believes in the Nazi Party because he's a young boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he knows. But through experience and through actual learning and understanding, he gets out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And makes it to the end of the war. If you watch that movie and you take the comedy out of it, he lost everything at the end of the movie and gained a friend, and that's it. He lost. If you watch that, I would recommend people watch that movie, Jojo Rabbit. It's a fiction, but it's very well done.
I have not seen it, but I've had it recommended many times.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you want a comparison between like two movies that are fiction based on the actual events,
mm-hmm.
it's The Fall of Berlin.
Yeah.
All of intents and purposes.
Mm.
But it's also the same as The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. There's the backdrop that is very real. And what I do like about that movie is the Commandant is showing a film about the Jews living okay. We gave them work to do. Here's them playing music. Here's them eating. And it's a facade.
Yeah, Therese and Stott.
Yeah. But it's a facade of propaganda.
Yep.
That they were going to show.
Yeah.
And that is something a lot of Holocaust movies leave out. The ins and outs of how the Germany had to show this eventually.
Yeah.
You can't just say they all left
and
didn't take anything with them. They had a plan. The answer to the question.
Yeah.
But they had a plan to back themselves up into legality, because if we prove to the world that it's legal, it's fine. That's a straight quote from Conspiracy. So that was their plan.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I totally understand where you're coming from on that. It is, like I said, it's tactless a little bit.
It's just one of the things that that makes me so angry because I actually got into an argument with another educator about it because they wanted to show that to their kids and asked why they couldn't show that. Because I got angry. I'm like, you can't show that to the kids. And they're like, why? I said, well, I tell you what, under that basis, I'll show the kids American History X. I'll just take out the sex scenes.
No, leave that in. They need to see that.
And they're like, well, you can't show that movie. It's too graphic. I said, why? It's exactly the same story. It's got just as much truth in it as Boy in the Striped Pajamas does. It's the same story. It's a story about a character who develops and understands that what they're doing is not correct and that they need to change their behavior. And they die at the end. It's the same thing.
But like, the only difference between that one is Ed Furlong's a full-on Nazi. The
Yeah,
Boy in the Striped Pajamas is just a boy.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
That's why I think like someone like Taika Waititi who does, Jojo Rabbit did such a good job.
Yeah.
Because there was this, his imaginary friend is Hitler.
Yeah. I know all about the movie. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's batshit insane.
Yeah.
But I can understand people wanting to show that movie because it is on the lighter side of a Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about, Schindler's List or a movie like The Gray Zone, those are graphic movies.
They are.
They are. There is a subtlety to the newest generation. You know this because you work with them. They are not hard.
That's why I would rather show the one I talked about with Oprah Winfrey or Conspiracy.
Yeah. Like, you can't show them the National Archive footage from the Eisenhower administration. These are the films of what we found.
Yeah.
Like, that is fucking scary.
I can't watch those.
Oh, I've watched them. But, like, I can't have something my teacher did and have them watch Sobibor. A kid gets ate by a dog.
Seen it.
Russians have to gun down Nazis and bayonet these motherfuckers. Like, it's a rough movie to fucking watch.
It is.
So yeah, I can kind of see how that is a little easier to swallow on the tail end. But I'll leave it at that. But like I said, all these movies we recommend highly.
Oh, absolutely.
From the Holocaust movies to the drug movies to the ghost stories to the ones about the real devil, Vice.
And all the amazing civil rights movies.
Yeah. What I left off was 12 Years a Slave because I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck me running. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
But no, always check out movies based on true stories. Always do your own research, on the back end of it. There are books these things are based on. They're based on real events. So people who do their research, always check these out.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we're going to leave it on that. Thanks for listening to this bonus episode of Couch Potatoes. Thank you, Cristy, for coming in.
Thank you.
Check out all the great shows on the Something Good Network. History We Forgot with me and Cristy Phillips. Triple C. Something Good for You. Couch Potatoes, another series. And just check out everything on Something Good Network. There's always something new coming out. Check us out on the Discord. Let us know what you want to hear. We've already got plans for some of the requests for just the history alone. Let us know in Triple C if you want us to talk about anything in particular about the macabre, the weird, the cryptids, or conspiracies. Hell, we even do a couple. Well, folks, thanks for listening and have a great night.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Something Good Network. If you liked what you heard, you can follow us on Instagram and check out the other great shows on the network. Link is in the episode description.